One Productions presentation, keeping it honest, insightful, interactive. Covering the latest in wrestling and beyond. You're listening to the RCWR show with Lee Sanders and Diamond K.
We've been just on a roll with some really cool guests that's been coming by this month, and the trend just continues. Just last week on Impact Showdown Live, we had the one and only the Omaha Chainsaw SM King. That was a really great interview. Then this past Tuesday night, we had the beautiful and the lovely Katarina Waters, a.k.a. Miss Winter from TNA Wrestling, former Knockouts champion, mind you, also former WWE diva known as Katie Lee, Katie Burchill. That was a really great interview. I've been receiving a lot of praise from folks on Facebook, especially in the Shine Wrestling community that had enjoyed that interview. And if you had enjoyed the interview that we just did with the Silver Screen superstar, Steve Off, well, you definitely want to make sure you tune in to the RCWR show this Tuesday night as we welcome our second female pro wrestler ever in the show's history. You know, Katarina Waters was our first past Tuesday night. Well, we got a little momentum in our favor as we welcome another female pro wrestler. It is the beautiful and the lovely, luscious Latasha from Shine Wrestling. She's going to be kicking back, and she's going to join me and Diamond K for a really cool interview. We're going to be talking all things wrestling, and she's also going to hook us up with a little bit of a preview for the Shine 10 iPay-per-view that comes to us from Ybor City, Florida, on May 24th. So you want to make sure that you check that out. Any questions that you might have for our special guest, do us a favor. Hit us up on our Twitter handles at Infinity1Prod or at the RCWR Show. You can also send us an email. Email information can be found on our Contact Us tab over at our website at infinity1productions.com. And that's not the only thing that we have in store as far as guest goes for this month. We have some more names lined up as all month long we are just kicking back, interviewing the very best pro wrestlers just in general. We're just interviewing all types of really cool guests, so hopefully you've been enjoying the ride so far. All right, so let's continue to talk of wrestling and rewind it back to what you might have missed from WWE Raw this past Monday night, where one of the main strong points of the show was the unsafe working environment, as they kept dubbing it throughout the night. Of course, Paul Heyman at Heyman Hustle on Twitter had released a series of tweets and little mini videos showing him and Brock Lesnar arriving at the WWE headquarters in Stamford, Connecticut on a beautiful, dull and quiet Monday, looking for Triple H's office, where they proceeded to destroy the heck out of it. WWE employees that saw Paul Heyman, Brock Lesnar, they all took pictures and posted them online. Eventually, all of this was just gathered on the WWE's website to make one really cool article. It was a really good read, especially when you saw what all the employees had to say. I just think it's kind of weird that the employees don't really have anything else better to do but kick on back and not work and just take pictures of Brock Lesnar and Paul Heyman. I just think that's kind of funny. But did anybody notice, as we saw Brock Lesnar and Paul Heyman go through the headquarters and they're making their way to Triple H's office, how fun of an environment it looks to be working in there? I don't know. I think I'd have me some fun, especially the level that they had got off. Looked like it was a ring on the wall, painting of a ring on the wall with superstars. I thought that was pretty badass. I wouldn't mind checking out that artwork again. But, yeah, Triple H, he luckily was not at the office that day. As everybody knows, when it comes to Mondays, he is usually at Raw helping out in the back. So Brock Lesnar was just having a field day destroying the office. Paul Heyman was showing all this footage on Raw via satellite from a remote location, but he would get interrupted by Triple H, who pretty much told Paul Heyman that, hey, your client Brock Lesnar, if he has a set, he needs to come and face me in the ring because right here, this is my second home. The office is my first home, but here in this ring, it's my second home. It was, okay. I don't really think it was really needed. I could have done without it, as now they're saying Brock Lesnar, Triple H, they will be face-to-face this coming Monday night on Raw. Honestly, I don't even think it was really needed to have Triple H, Paul Heyman just go at it. But I will admit, I do kind of like it when I see the two men going back and forth on the mic. But to me, it just seems like Paul Heyman always has the best of Triple H. It seems Triple H always has to resort to either the fat jokes or the balding jokes. Heyman doesn't really need to do all that stuff. And mind you, that's without mentioning the whole Stephanie McMahon slut name drops and all that stuff. But once again, Brock Lesnar, Triple H, they're going to be squaring off next week on Raw. No doubt this is probably what should happen since the Extreme Rules pay-per-view is going to be coming up next weekend. And, of course, the RCWR show will be covering that. Other highlights from WWE Raw had included a main event match which had consisted of Kane taking on Ryback. Now, this was pretty much the result of Daniel Bryan trying to get a rematch against Ryback from last week's SmackDown, but Ryback wasn't having it. Kane would then try to step up to the plate, and Ryback denied Kane. But later on in the night, acting supervising manager Vicky Guerrero would make the match official between Kane and Ryback. And it was a pretty decent match. Ryback picked up the victory via shell shock. From there we saw the trio known as The Shield. Dean Ambrose, Seth Rollins, Roman Reigns, they all came surrounding the ring. Ryback nowhere to be seen, as he did not want to have anything to do with Kane and Daniel Bryan. He did not want to help them. Lo and behold, John Cena, who has been battling his so-called Achilles injury, came on now to lend the boys a hand. Ryback would eventually get back in the ring, and once again, he would show ugly heel-like colors and hitting John Cena with a steel chair, leaving him laid out. And this would go into Friday Night SmackDown as Chris Jericho welcomed Ryback on the highlight reel. We'll tell you more about that shortly. But for now, your main takeaway from Raw was those areas that I pointed out. And also, let's not forget that we did see some Bella Twins action, as Bella Twins, they had took on Caitlyn, Naomi, and Cameron. It was pretty much a six-woman or six-diva match. You know what I'm trying to say. I'll just say six-man tag match. Bella Twins with AJ Lee taking on Caitlyn, Naomi, Cameron. Unfortunately, the Bad Girls had lost this match as the Bella Twins, they just abandoned AJ Lee, who was really looking for a tag partner when she needed one the most, but they abandoned her. Caitlyn speared the hell out of her to pick up a victory right there. A lot of people had looked at this particular match, or just, not really this particular match, but just the entire Raw card. A lot of folks looked at the entire episode of Raw as a really bad episode, pointing out that the Brock Lesnar angle was the only thing that was really worth checking out. And that comes despite the fact that Cena, Ryback, their match at Extreme Rules for the title, is now going to be a last man standing match. Not that many people are really amped up about this particular match. Not that many people are really amped up about a heel Ryback right now. Many feel that this is a huge mistake. Of course, if you want to get my full thoughts on this, if Ryback going heel is a good thing, I highly encourage you to go rewind it back after you get done listening to this episode and check out our Tuesday night Wrestling Report edition of the RCWR show, where myself and Diamond K, we go in depth about whether or not this is really a good move for Ryback to be going the heel route. But that's going to do it for your Raw Rebound or your Raw Report. Again, for more in-depth look into what you had missed from this past Monday night, rewind it back to Tuesday night. Main event, as seen on the Ion channel, we saw a pretty damn good match between Randy Orton and Antonio Cesaro, as Orton had picked up the victory. But, look at how Antonio Cesaro was treated in this match. I mean, this match was like about a half hour. He didn't do the silly yodeling. And to kind of pick up on what Cesaro had said on Raw Monday night, there isn't a wrestler in the entire WWE universe on all the shows that can hold a candle to him, because he puts the W back into the WWE, or as he bluntly put it, the WWE, paying homage to the old promotion that used to be run by Vince McMahon Sr. Well, he kind of had to eat his own words this week on Main Event as he suffered the loss to Orton, but what an impressive outing by the Ring of Honor alumni. No doubt in my mind, and I said this to you guys a couple of weeks ago, as there were many of you that were just panicking, wondering what was happening with Cesaro, why he was being put in these stupid gimmicks. I told you guys he is going to have his moment to shine. The writers, they just need to get back into focusing on him again, putting him in the rotation of making sure that they give him something to do, that they make him look strong. And I'm really glad that they got rid of the whole silly comedic gimmick that he had going for a couple of weeks, because that really was not going anywhere. It just really came off very creepy and awkward. And that's as simple as it's going to get as that. I think many of you would agree with that. But we definitely have been seeing the new beginnings of a reignited push in a Antonio Cesaro. I'm fine with him losing the way that he did. He still ended up looking pretty damn tough, and I see nothing but big things continuing to happen for Cesaro. I think the writers are going the right course that they need to take with him right now. Also on Main Event, we saw Justin Gabriel team up with Jimmy and Jey Uso to defeat the three-man band to end another solid episode of Main Event. Of course, they were showing highlights of the unsafe work environment at WWE headquarters as Lesnar had invaded it. Also setting up next week's WWE Raw. As we mentioned, looks like we're going to see Triple H, Brock Lesnar face off. We are also going to be seeing Fandango and Chris Jericho in a dance-off contest. About time that they capitalize on this. After all, Chris Jericho is the original Fandango. Let's not forget, he had that run there on Dancing with the Stars. He did pretty damn good. He almost made it to the finals there. All right, we're going to take another commercial break, but when we come right back, we'll dive into what you might have missed from Impact Wrestling this past Thursday night on Spike TV, as a certain individual who we have forgotten about for a long, long time came to the aid of Sting and Kurt Angle to take on those damn aces and eights, Devon, Bully Ray, and asshole himself, Mr. Anderson. I'll give you a little bit of a hint right now. It was not Rob Van Dam that returned. Who was it? Well, make sure you stick around and we'll tell you all about it. We'll be right back.
If you enjoyed our coverage, be sure to check us out every Tuesday night at 11 p.m. Eastern at blogtalkradio.com/the RCWR show for all the latest in wrestling news and beyond.
Hey, we know that there was a ton of you guys this past Thursday night that probably had hopped on YouTube and you were looking for Impact Showdown Live, and we had apologized enough as it is, especially on Twitter and Facebook, but you know me, I always love to make sure that at least on all the shows, the apology is put out there at least 2-3 times. We just wanted to, one more time, apologize to our YouTube watchers that were looking for Impact Showdown Live. It turns out it was not an error at our end. There was actually a problem with Google Hangouts all day long, and I was sitting up trying to figure it out. I could not for the love of me. I thought maybe I was doing something wrong at my end. I just put in the hashtag Google Hangouts on Twitter, and I saw that there was just plenty of other folks that were having the same problem as well. And originally, there was just not going to be a show. Me and Diamond, we were trying to figure it out. There was not going to be a show, but then we said, you know what? With the return of blah, blah, blah on Impact Wrestling and the news of TNA going back to its 9 p.m. time slot, maybe we should go on ahead and just do a show. And we were just amazed, or at least I was, because I was the one that was actually looking at the switchboard. There was just a decent amount of people. When I say decent, there was at least about 5 to 6 people that had called into the show that were patiently waiting for the show to come on the air. And I just felt really, really bad about that. So for those of you that were waiting around for the show, we apologize. Those of you that were waiting for the show on Blog Talk Radio, we apologize for that. As I said, it came as a shock to us because past couple of weeks we've been making YouTube on Thursday nights be our new home. And we've been trying to figure out how to simulcast for you guys. And I still have to get with Diamond later in the week to find out how we can simulcast on Blog Talk and YouTube in a way where there's not a whole bunch of crazy stuff that we have to do just to be able to pull it off. If it's as simple as we think it will be, then we'll definitely do our best to simulcast for you guys. My goal is to have the simulcast be up and running at least by the 23rd. I know I'm looking to try our first simulcast with the Extreme Rules post-show. So that should be kind of fun right there. That will be our first experiment right there, but it's definitely going to be full-time simulcast Thursday nights for Impact Showdown. So you'll be able to see me and Diamond on YouTube for Impact Showdown Live. Blog Talk Radio listeners, you'll still be able to get the audio versions. As we know, there's a lot of you probably at that time that may be at work or you just don't have access to a computer and you're calling into the show. And also, heads up, Blog Talk Radio, they had just released a new embedded player, and it's supposed to allow folks to be able to easily access our shows on Android, smartphones, portable devices, iPad, things of that nature. Now, we haven't made the full integration to it yet. As soon as this show is over, I'm actually going to be hopping on over to our website to try to make sure that we have that new player updated. And we highly encourage you to make sure that you check that out for your respective mobile devices, portable devices, to be able to play our episodes more smoother and easily. It came out, I believe, I want to say maybe a week ago, maybe 2 weeks ago, but it's been getting a lot of praise. I just haven't been able to fiddle around with it yet. But trust me, I will after the show is over. But just thought I'd give those nice, kind words out there. Again, apologize to those of you that were looking for Impact Showdown Radio this past Thursday night. You guys had let your voices be heard. We definitely will do our best to make sure that our Blog Talk Radio listeners continue to get that wrestling fix Thursday night. So trust me on that, as despite the late delay that we had in putting a show together, numbers have been coming in very strong for that Thursday night episode, and for that, we want to just send you all a very humble thank you. So on that note, let's go ahead and let's talk about one of the key highlights that had went down for Thursday's Impact Wrestling as seen on Spike TV. And no, it wasn't the fact that Christy Hemme had messed up Austin Aries and Bobby Roode's names, that she got them confused with Bad Influence, Daniels, and Kazarian. Look, nothing like those guys, by the way. And to see the awesome teabagging that Aries had did to Hemme in the corner, that was just ridiculous. She is still upset about it, as a fan had recently asked her if Aries had teabagged her, and she was quoted on Twitter saying, yes, totally unacceptable. So at least for now, she appears to be pretty fired up about that. But when you hear the type of salary that she gets just for announcing folks and doing a little bit of modeling here and there for the Knockouts website or TNA in general, you kind of say to yourself, hey, it's okay to get a little teabag and every now and again. But remember we teased you guys before we went to a commercial break and saying that somebody had returned to help Sting and Kurt Angle take on those damn aces and eights, and that it was not Rob Van Dam. That is true. On the contrary, the person that ended up helping them when they needed help the most, somebody that we have not even seen for a year. You think of who it was? I'll tell you what, I'll buy you a little bit of time and think about it. And as you're thinking about it, let me just rewind it in a nutshell for what led up to this person making their surprise return after a year. Now, initially, Sting, Kurt Angle, they called out the phenomenal one, AJ Styles. They wanted to know once and for all, what was his decision? Was he going to team up with them to take on aces and eights, or was he their enemy? And we saw Kurt Angle try to take the nice, aggressive approach. Sting tried to be passive and understanding, but neither one of those guys was getting through to him, and it just ended in a way where Kurt Angle, he was ready to fight this guy. As a matter of fact, it did get physical between Angle and Styles, and TNA officials, they ended up breaking it up. Well, we see Sting, Kurt Angle, they're talking to the Hulkster, trying to figure out who their partner is going to be, and they had actually watched a match between Magnus and Doc. Remember, there was some club business that had needed to be attended to as of last week when D'Lo had said, I quit to Kurt Angle in that I quit match. Yeah, looks like the brothers were not too pleased with D'Lo saying he quit, because as far as they were concerned, to quit is to quit on himself and is to quit on aces and eights. And that, folks, is pretty much a slap in the face, and it's unacceptable. They actually took away his cut, his aces and eights jacket, demanding what was he going to do to get it back, and he said he was willing to do anything and everything. Matter of fact, he was willing to fight Magnus, but instead, Bully Ray made a decision that it would be Doc that would take on Magnus, and that if Doc won, then D'Lo gets his cut back and he keeps his full rank in aces and eights. Well, during the match between Magnus and Doc, D'Lo, good intentions because he was trying to keep his spot, he ended up costing Doc the match, and as a result of that, he is still out of aces and eights. At least that's how it appeared. Now, when the guys had all went to the back, Bully Ray, Mr. Anderson, they let D'Lo have it, and they basically demoted him to a prospect. So now he has to get them cold beer, clean their butts, all that other good stuff. So that's pretty ridiculous when you hear that. But, of course, now the million-dollar question, who is going to be teaming up with Sting and Kurt Angle? We're talking with the Hulkster. Hulkster says, you know what, I just saw what Magnus did there with Doc. I think he's ready. That's the guy you want. I'm still working on this wild card. Maybe this wild card can come through. I don't know, but go with Magnus for now. Well, we end up seeing Magnus later on get jumped by the aces and eights in the backstage segment. They just completely took him out of the equation. So now it looked as if it was going to be a handicap match. Hulk Hogan would give the boys one more update saying that he's talking to his wild card. He believes it can come through. It might pay dividends. He might be coming back tonight to help them out. Meantime, handicap match it was, or at least a good majority of that tag match between Kurt Angle, Sting, Doc, Mr. Anderson, and, correction, folks, because Doc did not do double duty. Actually, Bully Ray, Devon, and Mr. Anderson. Lo and behold, we hear the music, right in the last 3 minutes of the show. We're still trying to figure out whose music it is, who is it that's getting ready to come out. It was none other, in case you haven't figured it out yet, the Monster Abyss had made his shocking return, and he just ran over all the Aces and Eights members, from the boys in the back, as he laid them out like a steamroller, to the ones that were in the ring. The Monster Abyss has come back, and it looks like he has evened up the odds in favor of Team Hogan. A lot of folks were actually kind of pleased to see the Monster Abyss return. What happens with Joseph Park now? That is the million-dollar question. Are we going to be in a position here where we're going to see Joseph Park, Abyss, double duty? What's going on here? Curious minds want to know, but it's nice to see the Monster Abyss come back. Good timing, too, since Slammiversary is near. And other than that, that was pretty much the main highlight of Impact Wrestling for that night. Of course, they're setting up next week's episode where it's the return of TNA Bound for Glory series, and as a result of that, they're going to be bringing back key TNA gut check winners, Sam Shaw, Christian York, Jay Bradley, first TNA gut check winner, Alex Sylvia. They all will be coming back to compete in tournament matches where the winner will go on to face one of the top TNA wrestlers in the Bound for Glory series, as it officially kicks off next Thursday night. And also we have that great three-man dance for the X Division title, as Zema Ion, Petey Williams will be taking on Kenny King and Hail Sabin, Chris Sabin. Way this past Thursday night was being built up. It's really looking as though Chris Sabin may get over on Kenny King. Not really sure how some of you folks feel about that. Not sure if you're ready to see Chris Sabin get the title that quickly. Hopefully the booking does this right and they make folks pay to see this go down. Hopefully they'll pull the trigger at the Slammiversary pay-per-view if that's what they really want to do, and putting the title on Sabin. You can only hope. Of course, the biggest news that came from TNA this week was the fact that they are going to be moving back to its 9 p.m. time slot effective May 30th. This is a result of 5 consecutive weeks where Impact Wrestling struggled to get over a 1.0 rating. And I just really feel that Spike TV is just showing no faith in the TNA wrestling product right now. I know that the first hour of Impact Wrestling, it's always kind of struggled there, but, you know, it's off season right now. I mean, look at what it's competing against. I mean, you got hockey going on, you got the NBA playoffs, and there's a lot of stuff that's going down right now. This type of stuff happens. You don't see WWE panicking and switching time slots left and right every single time they get their ass kicked by Monday Night Football or the playoffs, what have you. They just wing it out. And I definitely welcome and encourage you all, after you get done listening to this episode, to rewind it back to this past Thursday night Impact Showdown Radio. Me and Diamond K, we really went all in depth about this. And the very valid points were made, which is, are we seeing the beginning of the end for TNA Impact Wrestling on Spike TV? What could the future hold for them? And could they successfully make it to another network? And if so, who could possibly host them? You definitely want to check it out. It was a really, really great show. Solid 1 hour, folks, where we just dive into nothing but really good topics on there. So make sure you check it out when you get a chance. And you know what? Feel free to chime in your thoughts by hitting us up on Twitter at the RCWR Show or at Infinity One Prod, and sound off on if you think it's a smart move that TNA Wrestling is going back to its 9 p.m. time slot. We definitely would love to hear from you all. All right, so we're going to take another commercial break, but then when we come right back, we'll go on ahead and we'll briefly dive into other wrestling headlines. Not really too much has been going on, as main concern right now has been on Dolph Ziggler and his concussion. In case you missed it, we will tell you all about it, and we'll also dive into some entertainment headlines to help set up the review for the new One Life to Live reboot on Hulu Plus. You're checking out the weekend edition of the RCWR show on May 11, 2013. We will be coming right back.
You're listening to the RCWR show with Lee Sanders.
So as far as wrestling news goes, James Storm, he had announced on his Twitter account that he had suffered a groin injury while refereeing a tag match on Impact this past Thursday. Now, he suffered a pulled groin, according to his tweets, and was still in quite a bit of pain after 24 hours, as later on he checked himself into a local hospital to be checked out. He ended up spending the better half of yesterday doing media promotions for the TNA live event in the area, and even took some pictures with fans following the live event before going to the hospital. Talk about class right there. That's a way to suck it up. Me personally, I just would have been like, get the cameras out of my face, can't talk to you right now, my groin hurts. That just would have been me. But mad props to James Storm. And in case you're curious about the TNA Impact rating for this past Thursday night, looks like it has scored a 0.99 rating, just slightly up from last week's 0.94 rating, as Thursday averaged 1.27 million viewers. Now, after starting the year averaging a 1.09 rating, the last 5 weeks of Impact have all scored below the 1.0 ratings mark, kind of follow up on what we were talking about earlier. The last 5 consecutive Impact episodes that scored below a 1.0 was 2012 from October to November against the NFL Thursday Night Football. Now, on a lighter note, the show is still well below an average of 1.44 million viewers from January 3rd to April 4th before Impact's recent downturn, which is, of course, a contributor to Spike TV's decision to move Impact back to its 9 p.m. time slot starting May 30th. If you like a little trivia, on cable TV this past Thursday night, Impact ranked number 35 in overall viewers, number 22 among males 18 to 34 years old, and number 13 among males 18 to 49 years old. The only significant competition on cable TV were the NHL playoffs, swamped people on the History Channel due to the absence of the NBA playoffs this week. There you have it for TNA wrestling news. Now, as far as Ring of Honor news goes, and I didn't want to go into this with our guest Steve Off because that just would not have been fair to have him sit through what I'm getting ready to say to you guys. But for those of you Ring of Honor fans, you're kind of like, what exactly was he talking about? You know, what went down with Jay Briscoe? This is basically what happened. Ring of Honor World Heavyweight Champion Jay Briscoe, he basically posted an offensive tweet yesterday after Delaware State Senate passed a bill allowing gay marriage. Briscoe wrote, and this is a direct quote that I'm getting ready to read, "In no way is it a representation of myself, of the RCWR show, Impact Showdown Radio, Infinity One Productions, Infinity One Wrestling, Blog Talk Radio." Right? Briscoe said, and I quote, "The Delaware Senate passed a bill yesterday that allows same-sex couples to get married. If that makes you happy, then congratulations. Try and teach my kids that there's nothing wrong with that, and I'll fucking shoot you." Now, this isn't the first time that Briscoe has posted a homophobic remark on Twitter, as he wrote the following back in June of 2011. Again, direct quote, "In no way is this a representation of Infinity One Productions, Infinity One Wrestling, the RCWR show, Impact Showdown Radio, or the staff of Blog Talk Radio." Damn, there's a lot of fags out in New York today. Hashtag what the fuck. Now, since Briscoe's tweet, an entire Twitter account have since been deleted. I repeat, since Briscoe's tweet, the entire Twitter account has been deleted. Ring of Honor issued the following statement in response to Briscoe's remarks. Direct quote, Ring of Honor Wrestling respects and appreciates every fan regardless of age, gender, race, religion, or sexual preference. The recent post by Jay Briscoe does not represent the views or opinions of Ring of Honor Wrestling, its owners, management, or employees. Ring of Honor was sent out another statement moments noting that Briscoe will issue a public apology and donate his pay from the next 2 Ring of Honor events to the Partners Against Hate charitable organization. Direct quote right here. Jay Briscoe would like to again express his sincerest apologies and regrets to all, especially his young fans, for his recent hateful Twitter comment. Ring of Honor has insisted that Jay also make a public apology at the Ring of Honor event this Saturday night. Jay will address the public during the event. In addition to this apology, Ring of Honor and Jay have agreed that he will donate his full pay from the next 2 Ring of Honor events to the Partners Against Hate charitable organization. Partners Against Hate was created to help prevent, deter, and reduce juvenile hate-related behavior. You know it's just going to be a matter of time before GLAAD steps in to try to make sure that something like this does not happen again. They're probably going to try to do some type of seminar classes that they probably want for Jay Briscoe and other members on the TNA roster to participate in. This is a black eye to one who is supposed to be their champion. And I know that when you compare this beast, you compare it to what Bully Ray had did after Impact Wrestling had went off the air, and one could also kind of look at the comments that Mason Andrews had put up about those that are gay, lesbian. You know, this is just a completely different beast in itself right here. And I talk about feeling the sting. You have to cough up 2 paychecks. Ooh, that's definitely going to hurt him big time. I just really hope that he becomes a smarter person after this. This just goes to show you people, it doesn't matter if you have your own personal Twitter account and you're off the clock and you aren't on the company's time, you're just doing your own thing. It doesn't matter. You are always in the public eye. That's the thing with Twitter. When somebody follows you, it's like a party. They come in, they're seeing what you're putting out there, and 9 times out of 10, the people are following you because maybe they're trying to get to know you or they're familiar with your work. There's something about you that they like that makes them want to follow you and just constantly stay up to date on what all you're doing. That's pretty much how Twitter works. It's just a big old social party, and when one has had enough, most powerful button you can hit is the unfollow and go find yourself a new party. Of course, it always sucks to lose a follower, but people come, people go. You just get used to it on Twitter. And, you know, this is a case right here where, you know, if Jay wanted to say these type of things, then maybe he should have had a second backup Twitter account that nobody else knew about except close friends and family, and lock the account so that his tweets are private. That way he can say whatever it is that he wants to say and doesn't have to be worried about the public. I mean, I'm quite sure that the wrestlers in WWE, I'm quite sure that majority of them, they probably have their own private Twitter accounts that they use just to talk with family and friends, or better yet, if they don't have it, I'm quite sure that they definitely utilize the hell out of the direct message feature, as nobody can see that because you're sending basically a private message to somebody. So, I'm definitely a little bit disappointed that he put these type of comments out there. He should be better than that. Ring of Honor, I think they did a phenomenal job of putting the hammer down on him. And honestly, hopefully Jay, he learns from this. And when it comes to making those type of comments, hopefully he can do a better job of not making it be so out in the open. Very unfortunate right there. And in other wrestling news, we were teasing you guys about it earlier. Yeah, Dolph Ziggler, he actually had suffered a concussion during Monday Night Raw. This was courtesy of Jack Swagger. Now, at one point during this whole fiasco, Jack Swagger had came in and he literally kicked Dolph Ziggler in the head, and it just had Dolph Ziggler be out of it. He could not figure out where the hell he was. At one point, he was asking AJ Lee what happened, where is he, what's going on, and AJ said, you just got kicked by Jack Swagger, and all he kept saying was classic Swagger. Of course, Swagger has been known to have a little bit of screw-ups in his matches from time to time, and it looks like Ziggler just suffered such a bad concussion that he didn't do any house show events. He actually got checked out. And basically this poor guy, he could not remember what had happened on Monday or Tuesday. He didn't even know that he wrestled at Raw. He's just really having a hard time remembering stuff right now. And he's going to be going back in for some more tests. Of course, the boys in WWE, they're panicking. They're wondering if plans need to be set in motion to take the World Heavyweight title off of Dolph Ziggler. Vince McMahon, he's feeling, on the contrary, no, that's just a little too premature to get to that conclusion. He'll be fine. He just needs a couple of days rest. A lot of people are under the impression that he'll be ready to go by the Extreme Rules pay-per-view. I'm not really sure, but Dolph Ziggler, I will give him props where it's due. Every single night that he gets in the ring, that man puts on one of the best top-notch performances. He just wears his heart out there on a sleeve. I mean, this guy, he just lives, eats, breathes performing for the fans. And I've never been disappointed with a Dolph Ziggler match, but at the same time, the intensity that he brings, the physicality that he brings, I would take this concussion and I would really just start kind of playing it a little smart. And I don't know. I think it might be a little too soon for him to do his thing at the Extreme Rules pay-per-view. Maybe the other two participants involved, since it's going to be a triple threat between Alberto Del Rio, Jack Swagger, maybe they can take a little bit more bumps in that match if the payoff is going to be getting Dolph Ziggler over. That just makes a little bit more sense to me. Other than that, though, as far as other wrestling news goes, in case you had missed it, this past week's WWE Raw had scored the lowest rating of the year. A lot of people, they kind of felt that this was one of the worst episodes of Raw to check out. I think that's just a really strong word to be using. Like I said, the WWE headquarters invasion, that was pretty good. Triple H, Paul Heyman talking, that was okay too. The Ryback-Kane match, that was fairly decent. It was a average episode of Raw. I won't say it was the worst of the year, but the NBA playoffs, they definitely put a hurting on Raw Monday night, as it averaged 3.917 million viewers, making its final cable rating a 2.9, significantly down from last week's episode, which had scored a 3.14 cable rating and averaged 4.285 million viewers. Now, within the first hour, the show had drew 3.97 million. And in the second hour, it fell to 3.87 million. However, viewership finally rose in the final hour, making it draw 3.91 million viewers. So it looks like that streak of the second hour going into the third hour, the ratings just not picking up, that streak has finally been broken. Looks like the record was, I believe, 16, 17 weeks consecutive that they couldn't have the third hour do better than the second. So we enjoy this for what it's worth, but, I mean, 2 out of 3 ain't bad. Is that how the Meatloaf song goes? I don't know. But, take that for what it's worth. I'm definitely very curious to see how they shake things up with Raw coming up this Monday night. All right, we are going to go on ahead and we are going to take one last commercial break, I believe, and then we'll go on ahead and we'll dive into the very latest entertainment headlines for you guys. In case you missed it, Lauryn Hill, she is off to jail. Tell you all about it, and we'll also do the in-depth review for the new One Life to Live reboot. Checking out the weekend edition of the RCWR show. Good friends, we will be coming right back.
For news you can use, like us on Facebook during this commercial break at Infinity One Productions.
Weekend edition of the RCWR show is back. All right, so it looks like after 12 seasons, can you believe this? Randy Jackson, the sole holdout from the original cast of judges on American Idol, he's leaving the show after this season comes to an end. Direct quote right here: to put all of the speculation to rest, after 12 years of judging on American Idol, I have decided it is time to leave after this season. This is what Jackson told Us Weekly yesterday. I'm very proud of how we forever changed television and the music industry. It's been a life-changing opportunity, but I'm looking forward to focusing on my company Dream Merchant 21 and other business ventures. Now, bear in mind that it's looking as though American Idol is in the process of a total overhaul, as they are going to be losing Nicki Minaj, Jackson, Mariah Carey, Keith Urban, all of them. They're going to be losing this season. So you just look at that, and, there used to be a time where American Idol, they used to pull in some really, really heavy numbers, but nowadays they're only averaging a 4.3 rating in adults 18 to 49. Worth showing since its debut season in 2001. Now, meanwhile, you go over to NBC's The Voice, they've reached a 5.2 rating in the same demographics, while Idol dropped to a series low 2.8 in the same week, indicating a change in momentum for the two shows. So I can only imagine what's going to happen next year. For me, honestly, I stopped watching that show once Simon Cowell had left. I mean, for me, he is what had made the show. I mean, just hands down. I mean, you can't replace a Simon Cowell. You can try to have all the people that you can possibly come up with that can replace him, but there's just no replacing him. There's only one Simon Cowell. And we were teasing you guys earlier, right before we had went to commercial break, and it's official. Lauryn Hill, a reclusive singer, she will be going to jail. She pled guilty to tax evasion, and it looks like she is going to be going to prison for 3 months after failing to pay taxes on $1.8 million in income. Now, Hill had released a song on iTunes over the weekend in hopes of raising funds to pay the taxes, but she's still potentially facing the claim. Or she is facing the damn claim. She is done. Stick a fork in it. D-O-N-E, done. Very unfortunate when you hear this. I mean, let's be for real. She hasn't made an album in about 15 years, so I don't really see exactly how a single would help just take care of all the financial problems that she was having. I know that they worked out a deal with her where they wanted her to pay like about 500 and something $1,000, and she had only gave them about 50,000. So that combined with the whole talk of, oh, well, she hooked up with Sony and she's working out a new record label deal with them, things of that nature. You know, if that's really the case, then why hasn't this record label stepped in to pick up the tab so that you and they can get to work on working new material? I don't believe everything that you hear. Of course, Wyclef Jean, he's always said that this woman hasn't really been quite right in the head over the years. So, I mean, very unfortunate to hear this, but it just goes to show you those taxes, paying them, it ain't no joke if you ignore that note. You know what I'm saying? And true story, I had actually forgot to do my back taxes from 2011. It had slipped my mind. And I had got a notice in the mail a couple of weeks ago. They basically said, look, you got 30 days to pay your 2011 taxes, otherwise we're going to fine you $3,000 or something like that. Some ridiculous amount they had gave me. I'm like, wow, this is the first time something like this has come in the mail for me. Yeah, my girlfriend was nice enough to take my paperwork, and she went over to Jackson Hewitt to get it all squashed and taken care of. So now I can just go, whew, dodge the bullet there. But it's no joke. The IRS, they have just been really, within recent years, they have just been coming down hard on folks. So don't ignore that note when you get it. You know, don't play around when you get that W-2. It's time to pay. Take care of it. Do not wait until the very last minute to be scrounging around. That's when things just end up being sloppy. You're going to miss some steps, and then who knows, you may owe a ton more money than initially. Michael Jackson's estate, they're denying new molestation accusations as it's coming from Wade Robson, as he's a 30-year-old choreographer who claims that the singer is built a friendship with him when he was a little kid, and that he began spending time at Jackson's Neverland Ranch and Jackson's home in Las Vegas and Los Angeles for sleepovers by the age of 7, and the visits had continued right on up until he was 14 years old. Now, the Jackson estate, they're basically calling this outrageous and pathetic, as the papers were filed by Robson on May 1st. They're asking a judge to allow him to enter a late creditor's claim against the pop singer's estate. Keep in mind that the Jackson's family, they're also in the middle of a wrongful death lawsuit that was filed by the singer's mother against the concert promoter AEG Live, basically saying that it was them that caused the death of Michael Jackson. This is crazy, man. It seems like every time we turn our heads, it just seems like this whole thing about molestation is always just popping up with Michael Jackson. And I know it's one of the things, in retrospect, when you just look at his career, it's one of the things that just really gave him that gut punch that really had him not really be the same afterwards. I mean, especially the stuff that went down in the early 90s there. And it looked as though maybe he was possibly going to be going to jail, and, luckily it didn't happen. I mean, so much energy, just physically, emotionally, spiritually, so much resources financially had went into getting him out of that jam that he just was never the same person after that. And who could blame the man? I mean, you put yourself in that position. Just imagine going through all that stuff, and then you never, it's not like it, when it's all said and done, you're going to sit up and go, oh, okay, well, life goes on. I'm back to my old happy self. It's just not like that. So I don't really know where this is going to go. My whole thing is, why did this person wait so long to do this? Why are they doing it now that the man is dead? That's my whole thing. It's just weird how all this is coming about. It just seems that with the Jackson family suing AG Live, all the weirdos are just coming from every single nook and cranny thinking they're going to be able to get a payday from the Jackson family, and I just think it's ridiculous. Do I believe that Michael Jackson molested kids? I'm really, really not sure. I can't give you a decisive answer because I wasn't there at the Neverland Ranch and all the other homes that he has. I wasn't there, so I can't say. I just know one thing. If I have a kid and I'm hearing some stuff about Jackson and molestation at his homes, I'm not having my kids go to him. I'll tell you that much. We got some other entertainment news for you. Here's a little bit of trivia for you guys. Did you all know that Bill Clinton had tried to get the mighty Led Zeppelin to reunite for the Sandy benefit concert that went down 12-12-12? Yeah, true story. Not even the mighty saxophone player, former President Bill Clinton, could get Led Zeppelin back together. As president, he met with the surviving members of Led Zeppelin, Robert Plant, John Paul Jones, Jimmy Page, and Washington when the band was in town for the Kennedy Center honors. Clinton made his plea, but the band, they said no. Now remember, last time these guys reunited was back on December 10th, 2007. They did this with Jason Bonham filling in on drums for his late father, John Bonham. From then, there was reports that Page, Jones, they were willing to do a tour afterward, but Plant was the only one that was not interested in doing it. Page and Jones, they did consider finding a replacement, but eventually they ditched those plans. Page had recently told Rolling Stone last November that Plant was busy, but now Plant is suggesting, and this is as early as February this year, he's suggesting that he'd be open to a reunion next year. So, I mean, take that for what it's worth, but how about that? A former president tried to get the band back together, but failed. How can you say no to a former president? That's just ridiculous. It kind of reminds me of, like, the series 24 when President Palmer used to always call Jack Bauer, Jack, I'm sorry to put you in this type of position, but I need you to come back. And every single time it was like Jack was always trying to just find some freaking peace somewhere. He didn't want to be bothered, and he always got pulled right back in. It's ridiculous. You say no to the president. I could not do that. You got some balls, Led Zeppelin, saying no to President Clinton. That's all I got to say. For a one-off concert, oh, my God. Here's some more trivia I thought you guys would like. It turns out Jimi Hendrix has saw Paul McCartney for a supergroup with Miles Davis. That's right, the guitarist tried to reach out to the Beatles bassist with a 1969 telegram. Okay? That is badass. Can you just imagine that? Okay? Let me set this up properly for you guys, okay? Basically what went down was Jimi Hendrix, Miles Davis, they were planning to record together the year before Hendrix's death in 1970, right? Hendrix had all good intent and hoped that Paul McCartney would join them on bass. Hendrix, Davis, and jazz drummer Tony Williams, they sent out a telegram on October 21st, 1969, to the Beatles' Apple's Records, hoping they could get McCartney in for the session. Direct quote right here: "We are recording and LP together this weekend in New York," reads the note, and this is according to the Associated Press. "How about coming in to play bass? Stop. Call Alvin Douglas, 212-581-2212. Peace, Jimi Hendrix, Miles Davis, Tony Williams." Now, it's not really clear if McCartney was aware of the request. Telegram advised him to call Alan Douglas, but during this whole time, McCartney was actually on vacation. Talk about what the hell would have happened had the three of those guys been in the same room trying to put out some music. I think that would have been freaking phenomenal. It's sad that we didn't get the chance to see that go down. And I got some metal news. I know folks were talking about this earlier in the week as Slayer, they've shared some news on the cause of death of Jeff Henneman's death last week, saying that they have just learned the guitarist died from alcohol-related cirrhosis of the liver. Direct quote, while he had his health struggles over the years, including the recent Discus infection that devastated his well-being, Jeff and those close to him were not aware of the true extent of his liver condition until the last days of his life. This is what Slayer had wrote on their website. Contrary to some reports, Jeff was not on a transplant list at the time of his passing or at any time prior to that. In fact, by all accounts, it appeared that he had been improving. He was excited and looking forward to working on a new album. Now, he had contacted this flesh-eating disease back in early 2011. Doctors believe that it might have been caused by a spider bite. Henneman also almost lost his arm and was briefly placed in a medically induced coma. He had been on hiatus from Slayer ever since, though he had been working on physical rehabilitation, including playing guitar. Slayer left the option open for him to return upon full recovery. So quite unfortunate that went down with him there. And other than that, boys and girls, I mean, that's pretty much going to do it. Let's go on ahead now, and we've teased you guys long enough. Let's go in depth and talk about this new One Life to Live reboot series that is now exclusive to Hulu Plus, and of course you can also download episodes that you might have missed, or maybe you want to check out on iTunes, own them for yourself, or all your respective portable devices, things of that nature. If you're in Canada, then you guys will get episodes on FX Canada. That's a little cool treat for you all. Get episodes at 12, 12:30, so 12 is All My Children, 12:30 is One Life to Live. I have been watching this soap, I can honestly tell you. I've been watching One Life to Live since the early 90s. I came right in when they were getting ready to introduce the new storyline concerning Marty Saybrook at the fraternity house with Todd Manning, the star football player, and they all took turns raping her, and they went to trial, and Roger Howard, Todd Manning, I mean, the two just go hand in hand. It's just a perfect combination. It's almost like the role that this guy was born to play. A lot of people took notice of Roger Howard's portrayal as Todd Manning, and they said, man, we got to try to have this guy be a major player on the show. This is really some great talent right here. And lo and behold, they did what they needed to do to make it turn out. Todd was the son of Victor Lord. And I mean, for me, that's pretty much when I started watching the soap, and I have always been watching it. I know there were some periods, though, where when Roger had left the series, I kind of wasn't really interested in it. I would stop watching it for a couple of months, and I would check in from time to time just to see, what was going on, what all they were up to. But it really wasn't quite the same when they didn't have him in the equation. And I know we had Trevor St. John, who came in for about 8 years, and he did a phenomenal job as Todd Manning. Of course, it's hard to replace a great actor like Roger Howard, but a lot of people actually enjoyed Trevor's portrayal of Todd more than Roger's, as they felt Roger was just starting to become a little bit too comic go, but at the same time, it was just so easy to really like his portrayal. It just, how could you not like it, you know? But, you know, to each its own. It's almost like comparing two different generations, kind of like with the whole Joker thing. Jack Nicholson's or Heath Ledger's. A lot of people, it'll just be split right down the middle as far as which Todd Manning actor do they like. And like many soap fans, I definitely was disappointed when I had saw that ABC, they decided that they were going to drop One Life to Live, All My Children. All My Children, I used to watch it, you know, but for me it really stung seeing them even ditch One Life to Live, especially when their ratings had picked up. I mean, they were just really producing some really good episodes, well-written episodes on top of that leading up until when they had got canceled. And I'm thinking to myself, surely ABC execs are going to look at the ratings and they're going to try to give them an extension. They're going to try to work with them, let them stay on for a couple of more months, or maybe they'll buy them another year. And turns out that wasn't even the case, as it was just pretty much sayonara. Lo and behold, you have Prospect Park come in, and they go, okay, you know what? We believe in this show. We believe in All My Children. We want to keep these shows around. We want to introduce them to a new generation of viewers. We know that there are still soap fans that's out there, but we also want to try to see if we can bring in a new, younger audience. It just needs to be jazzed up just a little bit, but still be the traditional soap that fans have come to know and love, especially the veteran soap fans. And Prospect Park, it was their passion, it was their vision to see these shows get rebooted as online shows. And, you know, as all this was going on, of course, we saw some crossovers that had went down, as we ended up seeing Michael Easton, who portrays John McBain, Kirsten Alderson, who portrays Star Manning, Roger Howard, Todd Manning, of course. We saw that trio go on over to General Hospital as a deal was worked out between Prospect Park and ABC that allowed the three actors to continue portraying the One Life to Live characters while they were taking their time getting the reboots up and running. They did this so that the actors could continue to work, and they also did it from the standpoint of, okay, well, you know what, do it like this. When it comes time for us to finally relaunch these shows, we'll still have these characters that'll still be on TV, fans will still be checking them out, and we can just easily just bring them back on over to our joint and just continue the good flow. And, you know, who could not forget the way that the whole One Life to Live General Hospital crossover had went about. We see Star, she's in the car with her daughter Hope and her man Cole, and Cole is popping the question. He wants to marry her, and then we see her husband and her daughter basically, or her future husband and her daughter, they get killed off in a nasty little car accident that is the perfect setup in bringing in Todd Manning and Blair Kramer, and you know, you're just seeing all that go down, and you're like, wow, this is awesome, this is great. Meanwhile, Prospect Park, they had a failed attempt launching the shows. A lot of people thought that maybe it just wasn't going to go anywhere. And as a result of that, we continue to see the One Life to Live trio on General Hospital making really great storylines, quite honestly. I mean, they were just improving the hell out of everybody that was around them. Well, let me not really say that for Kristen Alderson. I'll mainly say that for Michael East and Roger Howard. They really were bringing their A game and just improving the actors that were around them that they got to work with whenever they were on camera at the same time. Now, finally, we start hearing the rumblings maybe late last year that Prospect Park was going to do this. They got all the pieces together. They're finally going to reboot these shows. just a matter of when they're going to start production, and then finally it was, well, production is going to begin April 2013. Of course, they reached back out to ABC to let them know that they wanted their One Life to Live 3 back, and this is where things had started to get a little sticky, okay? They met a little bit of difficulty in ABC, as now ABC, they're in a position where they're kind of realizing that they made a mistake getting rid of All My Children and One Life to Live, and they had proved to be very difficult as far as negotiations went with Prospect Park over the One Life to Live 3. Now, originally, this is what was supposed to go down. Prospect Park, they wanted for Michael Easton to bring back his John McBain character, just film a week's worth of episodes to tie up some storylines. Him and his character would go back to General Hospital. Kirsten Alderson, same thing. Roger Howarth, they wanted a little bit longer, and who could blame him? Hell of an actor. You can't just have him pop up for 1 week. It's going to take a little longer to tie up whatever loose ends, but they wanted him a little bit longer. Well, ABC, Disney, or as everybody else is calling them, ABCD, they really were not too keen on this, and they just decided, you know what, let's just create 3 new entire characters for these 3, as it turns out they had these 3 under a contract. Okay, so keep in mind that they did this without the blessing of Prospect Park. They killed off Hope and Cole without the blessing of Prospect Park. Okay, so keep all this in the back of your mind now as we finally see the day come, April 29th, 2013. One Life to Live officially launches on Hulu. And, man, you just talk about that first episode. It just reels you in. You see a mysterious figure that is trying to escape from some unknown, mysterious compound. Then you see Todd Manning in just true badass fashion. He is at an airport, or it looks like he just got done getting off of an airplane, and he's getting ready to hop into a limo. He's looking for this club called Shelter. It used to be known under a different name, but now they're calling it Shelter. Turns out Shelter is now being run by Blair, along with Cutter. Nice to see Cutter is trying to be on the good side of the law for a change. And, you know, we see that we have a new destiny, and we see that we have a new Joey Buchanan, if I'm not mistaken. Now, for those of you that are a little curious, you're like, well, yeah, what happened with the other Destiny? I think that the old Destiny portrayed by Chanel Edmonds, I don't think she would have served right in this new reboot. I think the casting of Laura Harrier was just perfect. I thought they did a phenomenal job casting her as the new Destiny. I really have been enjoying her work. And as far as the new Joey Buchanan goes, I can't remember the name of the actor right now, but he's replacing Eddie Alderson, sister of Kristen Alderson. I actually have been enjoying his work more. It doesn't seem like he's trying to replace the old actor, the way that he portrayed it, but it seems more like he's trying to have the character evolve on so many different levels, and I can appreciate that. I've actually have been enjoying his portrayal more. This time around, we see what's been going on with Vicky. It looks like her newspaper, the Banner, is struggling to make the transition into the digital age. Vicky kind of feels as though she's waited too long to jump on the digital age, as sales is just plummeting, and she's trying to figure out how to get herself out of a serious jam because it's kind of looking as though she might have to file for bankruptcy. Meanwhile, she had just released an article on her sister Dorian Lord, and it looks like Dorian is in this really, really bad spot because remember, Dorian had became a senator before the series had ended on ABC. Well, it looks like she's been involved in some type of a cover-up scheme, and many people, they want her resignation. Eventually, she does give her resignation, but this whole story had came about courtesy of the Banner, as Vicky had hired a freelance writer to expose the truth. And Dorian is trying to figure out ways to get back at Vicky, and what actually ends up happening is she ends up talking to a very close financial advisor of Vicky's and tells him about Pellegrino, some type of stock or whatever, that it looks like things are going bad for that company and its stock, and that now is a good time to try to invest in it because you can make some serious money off of it. And she knows that Vicky is in dire need of getting money together to try to keep the Banner afloat. Well, word eventually does get back to Vicky because, after all, go figure, guess who her financial advisor is? Yeah, the same guy that was talking to Dorian. And it looks like now the gears are in motion for Vicky to put all of her remaining assets into this. And, man, is it going to explode in her face big time when this goes down. Meanwhile, for those of us that remember the final episode of One Life to Live on ABC, that heartbreaking final scene where we learn that Trevor St. John's Victor Lord's character is alive. Oh, and to just see him strapped in the bed like that, and we're kind of saying to ourselves, what the hell is going on here? Well, it turns out the mysterious person that was fighting his way off of the compound was Victor, as eventually he finds his way to shelter as well, as the main reason why Todd was in Llanview was to find his daughter, Danny, who's been sending him weird text messages. Turns out she's been battling with Oxycontin, and you know how that is, bad combination kid. Yeah, that's a crazy night. She actually had an incident in the club where she collapsed, and everybody had rushed to the hospital to get her proper treatment. She ended up making a full recovery. Victor would reveal himself to everyone at the hospital, and seems like Victor is picking things up with his family right now. And meanwhile, Todd and Victor, though there isn't the acknowledgement by Victor that Todd shot Victor, Victor does hold great resentment towards Todd, and it actually takes him to a point where currently he has been poisoning Todd as he's been breaking into his hotel room, and he's been putting some type of arsenic poisoning into his little tasty wine beverages, and Todd is feeling the effects of it. You know, long-term wise, it can do something if you're giving it to someone in small doses, and that's pretty much currently where we are right now with the main storylines. We haven't seen a Star Manning pop up yet. We haven't seen John McBain pop up yet. But the deal that's been worked out right now is that Roger Howarth will be portraying Todd Manning on a short-term basis. We're kind of hearing rumblings that a deal has been worked out where he will continue to portray Todd Manning, so as long as he isn't filming General Hospital, so basically X amount of days that he's not filming, he'll be doing some stuff for them. That's what we're hearing, but what we're hearing and what we see is two different things. But I must admit, I really, really love the new reboot. It seems to be a little bit more edgier. I kind of love the little subtle touches that have been made. I love the fact that now it seems like they're using more actual music than royalty-free music. Like I know they were playing a Sonny and Cher song, "I Got You, Babe." I think it was last week they had played it. It was kind of nice. They even did a Blog Talk Radio reference, which I thought was pretty badass. They did a Twitter reference. You know, you don't really get to hear that type of stuff when the show was on ABC, because I don't know why. I guess because they had to pay some type of fee or whatever, or they didn't want to acknowledge them. I don't know, but I just thought it was kind of silly. But now we're seeing them drop those little names out there. They don't mind swearing. It's literally picking up right where the show on ABC left off. If not, it's better. And I definitely would highly encourage those of you that maybe have not checked out the show yet to do so. I know you can watch it for free on Hulu.com. I know a lot of people were complaining, saying, "Oh, it's unfair. Shouldn't have to pay $7.99 a month just to see this." Well, you don't have to pay $7.99 a month. All you got to do is just go to Hulu.com, look for the show. You can watch it. Of course, with you watching it, you probably may end up seeing more commercials, as it's only a 30-minute show that you're watching. So for me, since I'm a paid member, I probably see about maybe an average of, I would say I probably see an average of maybe 6 to 7 commercials total. For those that might not be paying a Hulu subscription, they might end up seeing maybe double that. But you can see all episodes for free, and I've been a Hulu member for a long time. I actually had tried them out for free for many months before I actually became a paid member, and I can definitely tell you there's no strings attached. They don't need your credit card information if you're just trying to watch episodes for free. Just go to their website, type up the name of the show, boom, you can check it out just like that. The other cool thing that I like about Prospect Park is that they're making episodes be available for purchase in the iTunes store, and I just think that's really, really freaking badass. I mean, you talk about a really solid deal. For basically $10, okay, you can get 20 episodes, and basically you'll get charged $10 for every 20 episodes, and you can download these episodes as early as 3:35 in the morning, at least over here on the East Coast. I just think that's pretty badass. And the only reason why I know that is because usually I'm kicking back and I'm doing some remixing or whatever, want some audio, or I'm posting some articles up for the website, and I usually get alerts that says to me, "Hey, the newest episode of One Life to Live is now available for download." So that's, pretty nifty to check out. So I mean, pretty much you can watch One Life to Live anytime. And Prospect Park's whole mentality, it's not daytime soaps, it's anytime soap. So basically anytime you want to check it out, you can do so. And I just think that it's really cool that they are officially making it be available for folks to download episodes. Gone are those days where you go to the YouTube uploader that's taking all the episodes of what you might have missed, and you got to sit through their little silly logos or whatever like that. Gone are those days. Now you can truly show your love for your favorite soap in One Life to Live by purchasing the episode. Now, you don't have to do that $9.99 deal. That's a season pass. You don't have to do that. Episodes are available for 99 cents each, but when you do the math, you actually end up getting a better deal with the $10 for 20 episodes. I mean, literally, they're trying to save you $10. So why you want to throw an extra $10 out the window, I have the slightest clue, but I highly recommend you get the $9.99 multi-pass deal. You even get bonus weekly recaps and special sit-down interviews at the end of the week. You only get 4 new episodes a week, by the way. That's Monday through Thursday only. Really love it, though, and I've actually been kicking back with the episodes that I've got on my iPad, and I'm getting ready to actually make a little Blu-ray copy out of it just for my own personal collection. I'm sure that's probably what a lot of folks are going to do, but I must give this show the official must-watch tagline. Of course, next week, or in just a few of hours, 48 hours to be exact, the new era on General Hospital begins, as we're going to see Michael Easton, Kirsten Alderson, Roger Howarth all come back. We're being told that they're coming back as new characters, supposedly. We aren't sure what the names of these new characters are. There's a couple of pictures floating around, though. You can see how they look. There's even a video floating around where you can see how they look. Roger Howarth, he's cut his hair dramatically. Ears are all sticking out. He has short blonde hair. Kirsten Alderson, the only thing that's changed about her is that she now has red long hair. Michael Easton, it looks like he's cut his hair dramatically, and it looks like it's slicked back. There's no telling what type of characters they're going to play. Rumor has it that Roger Howarth might be the new Franco, made famous by James Franco. Not really sure if that's official. One can only speculate. It's being rumored that Michael Easton is playing a descendant of his little vampire character, looking for answers, trying to find out what had happened to his family or what have you. I'm not really sure what's going on with Kirsten Alderson, but it should be very interesting to see how everything plays out this week. But keep in mind, we got this ugly lawsuit that's going on with Prospect Park, ABC, Disney, and it's just unfortunate that it's gotten to this point. You would have thought that more and more I'm able to find information. It's just really looking as though ABC, Disney, they've really done a bad job. They've really done a bad job with Prospect Park. It really looks as though they screwed the hell out of them, because when you just add up the little things, they didn't get permission to kill Hope and Cole. They did not get permission by Prospect Park to sign the One Life to Live trio to long-term deals. They did not get clearance to have their websites be a green light. You know, it's unfortunate for Prospect Park, because you would think that when you type in onelifetolive.com or mychildren.com, you get a new website layout, episode information, all that good stuff, right? You don't even get that. You're redirected to ABC. And from what I was able to read in Prospect Park's lawsuit, the information is out there. You can actually see the documentation yourself. They're basically saying that ABC, Disney, they have tried to screw them in every single way possible and making the reboots not be successful. And they're suing them for a whopping $25 million. Now, whether or not they're going to be able to make a profit from this, I don't know. There's just a lot of things that's adding up. Things might go in their favor, but that's why we haven't seen the trio return to General Hospital for as long as it's been now. But again, we will be seeing them effective this week, as all three are set to make their return this coming Monday. So make sure you check that out. But I hope you guys had appreciated that great in-depth look into the new One Life to Live reboot. Hopefully it will at least kind of get you going and want to sit down and check it out at your convenience. I know there's some of you that are just passionate General Hospital fans. Some of you may not care about the new One Life to Live reboot. Some of you may try to show loyalty to ABC, and some of you may think that Prospect Park is the bad guy. I think the best way to really look at all this mess right now is to just think about the future of your favorite daytime soaps, your favorite shows. Prospect Park may be the answer for those shows should the networks decide they don't want to have them on their network anymore. You know, that's the best approach that I would have looking at this, and I definitely support all the soaps that's out there. And, hey, it looks like the cast of One Life to Live, it looks like they're really having fun this go-round. They definitely got me intrigued. I'm definitely going to be checking out all the episodes. Way they've been rolling so far, can't miss episodes. So check it out when you get a chance. You can thank me later. That's going to do it, folks. We did a deluxe edition of our weekend edition. We went long into this show today. That's going to do it. I hope you guys had appreciated it. Hey, remember, this Tuesday night at 11 p.m. Eastern, make sure you check out the RCWR show. We're going to be joined by the beautiful and the lovely Shine Wrestling's own luscious Latasha. We're going to be talking all things wrestling and get a preview of the upcoming Shine 10 pay-per-view from Ybor City, Florida on May 24th. For all the latest and what you might have missed, be kind, rewind. Check out previous episodes of the RCWR show and Impact Showdown Radio, available now on blogtalkradio.com/the RCWR show. Episodes also available in the iTunes and Stitcher marketplaces. Just use the keywords, the RCWR show. That's going to do it, folks. Have a very safe and fun weekend. All you beautiful moms out there, happy Mother's Day. That's it, folks. Take care.